Hello and welcome to another Warcraft 3 audio commentary. This is going to be another Crowned Replays game, and this is going to be from patch 1.25. It's actually played in 2011. I think it was late 2011, maybe September or so, I think. And this was played for the I Love Discs tournament. This is a round of 16 game between SK.Bet.Sweet. Oh yeah, sweet. The mighty blue undead, spawning in as the blue undead in the lower right part of the map, and he will be going up against Wemadefox.Soccer, spawning in as the orange night elf in the upper left. The map is Ancient Isles 2, and I'm kind of excited. The relevant changes that kind of matter for this particular game, and they may not matter exactly in this game, but you know, for the undead versus night elf matchup from in 1.25, is this is the game where, you know, a tome of experience was decreased from 150 XP to 100, and we had the wardens at Shadow Strike going down from 75 mana, or I'm sorry, going up from 65 mana to 75 mana to cost to cast, and finally, well, two more changes actually. There's also the poison orb that went, its duration was decreased from 8 seconds to 6, I believe, and the final change is that the Druids of the Talon's Fairy Fire duration decreased from 120 seconds to 90 seconds on units. So that's all the relevant stuff. It may or may not play any actual difference in this game, but we'll see Soccer going for a Warden first, and he is going to go ahead and have an Ancient of War camp right here. He's going to go for the Ancient of War creep on that. As a Night Elf player, of course, we're actually going to see Sweet playing a very aggressive undead style, sending ghouls and an Acolyte very early on to go ahead and try to disrupt this Ancient of War creep camp, and his goal here is pretty much going to be to stop or delay this creeping of the camp. That's really what he wants to do. And he's going to go, I'm expecting to see Death Knight, and of course just ghoul build here, just a pretty standard ghoul build. Here comes that Warden, and he's actually going to be able to get the Archer. I think it was ensnared, and we're going to see him trying to run this ghoul away. He doesn't, he's blocking with that Acolyte very cleverly, trying to prevent him from casting a Shadow Strike onto the ghoul. This is kind of around the time where you maybe started seeing a lot of Night Elf players switching back from Warden to Demon Hunter first. You know, early 2012. It was, the Warden has been nerfed, and undead players are doing pretty well versus it. I mean, overall, it definitely brought a lot more balance back to the matchup, I think, and at least that's my opinion. You know, balance is an issue that balance is an issue where, you know, if you disagree, I'm not going to, you know, argue with your opinion. It's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own opinion. It's just my opinion. My opinion at the time, you know, as well as Ted's actually. So I mean, it's not just my opinion, but a lot of good undeads. Plus me, you know, so thinking maybe the Warden was a little too strong. Blizzard, you know, also thought maybe a little too strong. But anyway, whatever. That's totally irrelevant. We do see, of course, these guys up here. The Death Knight getting chased now by this Warden. The Warden can't really do too terribly much because he doesn't have a lot of mana. He's got only enough mana for one more Shadow Strike. And, of course, Sweet's just like, well, you know, you can chase me around. I've got my ghouls in your base. I got an Acolyte in your base, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to kill some of your wisp while you do this. And in the meanwhile, I don't think, yeah, you didn't even finish off that creep camp. So up there, he's like, yeah, it's like, this is fine by me. And of course, now the Warden is out of mana for, you know, Shadow Strikes. You know, normally he could just run and chase you. You know, in 15 mana, he's going to be able to get that, you know, almost by the time that you see that, as you can see, you'd just be chasing a little bit farther. Maybe into the undead player's base if the undead player ran straight here, you know. So if there's a Nubian tower up, maybe the Death Knight could have avoided that, but that's not going to happen in this game. Of course, we're just going to see, because of course the Shadow Strike is 75 mana, not 65, and there it is. There you can see it's finally gone up to 65, and that's going to generate 10 more for this patch. So that's kind of a big nerf to the early game harass of the Warden. Even though it doesn't sound like a lot, because a lot of people are like, 10 mana is not really a big deal. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. But anyway, we're going to see the Death Knight picking up a Boots of Speed. That's very important because he says, hey, you know, if you're going to chase my Death Knight around with Shadow Strike and your Warden, if I have Boots of Speed, you're not really going to be able to do too much. You might be able to cast one Shadow Strike and then maybe hit me once or twice, but that's about it. He's like, so that's not a huge deal for me. And of course, you can see the Warden still at level 1. And of course, this is, oh, here comes a Ghoul Surround on that Warden as well as Dust. And the Warden, of course, doesn't actually have Blink because he's not level 2, so he's going to be forced to TP back. And actually, normally Warden players won't even take their second skill point once they do hit level 2 until they hit level 4, unless they get surrounded, and then they'll pick Blink. Because honestly, Fan of Knives is pretty much not that great at level 1, so generally you don't need it until level 4, because then you can get level 2, and that's pretty good. So why not save that skill point in case, you know, you get surrounded and you need blink. That's actually pretty clever. And over here we can see, of course, Soccer saying, I do have that second Ancient of War. I do like to do set 2 Ancient of War creeps. It's very good with Warden. And here we can see he's actually sitting over here at this shop, perhaps to pick up Boots of Speed. There it is. And that's pretty much saying, he's like, well, I need that because I'm doing a lot of chasing with this Warden. And in fact, you've got all these ghouls over here, and you're stopping me from doing this Ancient of War creep as well. And you already got 1 surround on me, and I don't really want to get surrounded again. Of course, we can actually see no experience has been picked up yet by Sweet's Death Knight, but it doesn't matter because that's not his goal. His goal right now, I mean, frankly, for as far as Sweet cares, he doesn't care if he's level 1 with 0 experience, you know, at tier 3 with 3 heroes. What he cares about is that this Warden is not level 3, because a level 3 Warden is a lot more powerful than a level 1 or level 2 Warden. It's a lot more powerful. But over here we'll see that Ancient of War just saying, you know what, I mean, I'm just gonna go for the creep anyway. He's like, because I've got to do it. He's like, I have to do, I gotta get as much creeping in as possible, and I gotta be as fast as possible, as efficient as possible, because here comes Sweet's big Naga push. He does have a bunch of ghouls now. As you can see, I think that's seven ghouls right there. It has a Naga, of course, and he can also pass that Boots of Speed over to that Naga, which we'll probably see happen at some point, of course. So that's the second reason to buy Boots of Speed on your Death Knight. It's like, not only is it super helpful for keeping me alive versus your Warden, it's also super helpful because I do like to go Naga second when I play this sort of strategy, because Naga second is pretty much the best hero to go when you're dealing with super aggression in the mid-early kind of game. And we're going to see, of course, Soccer saying, you know what, I agree, you saw Nagasi, which is an awesome second hero, I'm going to get it too. And so we can see that happening right here. Here we see a Potion of Healing, I think, getting backpacked into Death Knight just in time. And there is, in fact, a second one right there. Indeed, it did just get backpacked to him. As you can see, just taking a lot of damage from these 2 heroes right here, of course, the Shadow Strike and the Naga Cold Arrow focus. And here we can see one of these ghouls going to run back to the base. We can see, of course, Sweet saying, I'll take this experience because I could use some. As you can see, he's only got 13 right now. I think that means he's managed to pick up an Archer, maybe. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. But we can see, of course, that healing potion going to be passed over to the Naga Sea Witch for Sweet. As you can just see him going ahead and trying to keep that alive. It's going to go ahead and end up being Shadow Striked. And we can see him going for the Warden, just barely not going to happen. I kind of wish I hadn't clicked on that because we just kind of missed the Naga dying, but it was definitely dead. There's not a lot that could be done for it, unfortunately. And now you can see the Warden, he's just running away scot-free, very, very close to going down as well. And of course we can see Sweet saying, I've got enough mana for another coil, but I'm not going to be able to find your Warden in time, I don't think. So that's what we're seeing happen right now. And of course, he did actually able to pick up the level 5 Null Overseer experience on his Death Knight. And maybe we'll see a ghoul going down right here. Yes, indeed. Very nice job by this Soccer's Naga right here. And that's going to go down. It's surrounded. There's not a lot that can be done for him, unfortunately. And down he goes. Level 2 now being picked up by this Death Knight. And we can see, of course, that the Warden over here with the Boots of Speed saying, I'm going to go for your Death Knight now because he's level 2. But this is a level 2 Death Knight with Unholy Aura. And he doesn't have Boots of Speed anymore on the Death Knight. He did pass that to the Naga. I don't quite know when, but as you can see, he did. And so it's going to be a little bit harder to get the Death Knight away from the Warden. But in the meantime, we're also going to see one of those ghouls going down, 2 archers and the Warden. Of course, at level 2 going to be no match, or not, well, 5 ghouls will be no match for those guys. So that happens. A very nice deny on that archer saying, you know what, you don't have a lot of experience. I don't really want you to have a lot of experience. I'm going to deny that and stop you from having a lot of experience. Of course, here we do see one Dryad out, about to have enough mana for another abolish. I think he needs to get to 50. Indeed he does. And he's just going to immediately abolish one of those little skeletons, pick up 12 experience for the Warden. And in fact, he just got 24 experience because he killed both of them. So nicely done. Over here we can see, of course, Sweet saying, I need to maybe creep. You know, he's looking like he's going to go for this Goblin Merchant. There he is. Down here, finally getting a chance to look at the base. You can see he's going for a tier 3 tech. Of course, he's starting to transition into a Fiend build, as you can start to see, with, of course, a Slaughterhouse out for statues and potentially even Destroyers if he needs that. Soccer also going for tier 3 as well. Who's faster? Oh, that's close. It looks like Soccer is faster when the tech, and you can see him going for Bears right there. Of course, he does have the Dryads out, because why not? And another Ancient of War has been placed down right here, so he can creep this out with an Ancient of War. It's great. It provides you with the ability to tank. None of your other units are really going to be very good at tanking, so you do want to go ahead and use that Ancient of War if you're creeping with a Warden, generally just the way it goes. Now, we can see that this Death Knight going to take a lot of damage immediately, going to get a Shadow Strike being the focus target here, but it was kind of bait. He's like, I already have a Potion of Healing, and he does have a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability there. He's using that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well, and we will see, of course, that Naga Sea Witch getting staffed out for Soccer right there. We will see a little bit of damage coming into this Sweet's Crypt Fiend right here, but of course, not going to be too much of an issue because he will get a coil. Of course, now you can see that level 3 Warden being very useful by Shadow Striking that Fiend right there, and that's a level 2 Shadow Strike, and as you can see, it just does a lot of damage, and this is through a coil. We did see a level 1 coil healing it. That's 200 life, and it's still, that coil, or that Shadow Strike is going to bring this Fiend way down, to about 119 life, and that's why he's healing on Blight with Unholy Aura. So, I mean, you can imagine if that was out in the field, then he probably would have been down to like 70 or something. Not really sure if that, maybe 80, yeah, but definitely dead if he didn't have that coil. So, over here we can see, of course, now at this point there is Adept Bears on the field, and that essentially means that there is Rejuvenation available for Soccer's Warden, so he can tank with that if he wants to. It's not really a problem. Of course, this creep camp's pretty easy. It's an orange creep camp. It's a red Drake that he can go ahead and kill with these guys. It doesn't really do a lot of damage, and he's going to pick up a Robe of Magi +6, an amazing item for the Warden, of course, especially in this patch where the Warden starts to have mana issues. Over here we can see now, it's for Sweet. He's like coming out just a little bit, very ballsy, but he does have that Boots of Speed, so he's like, I might as well go ahead and do it. And indeed he will do that, and we can see this Ancient of War. It's moving down towards this red camp, and what we're probably going to see is Soccer pulling this red camp out back towards that Ancient of War. Of course, it's always a good idea to pull your creep camp out if you're creeping very risky, and this is pretty risky for Soccer as far as risky camps go, but he will go ahead and bring this Ancient of War, and of course, if you know, what is his name? I can't remember. Sweet, it's terrible. I should easily know his name. If Sweet had run in, you know, and Soccer was down here creeping in this sort of position, and Sweet runs in behind him, all of his Dryads would have been exposed, and they probably would have lost a lot of them, as well as maybe even the Naga. And the Naga, of course, is the one who has the wonderful little item there, the Staff of Preservation. Now we can actually see a Book of the Dead being picked up by the Warden, which is a great item. That's going to allow him to be very, very aggressive in the next fight. Essentially, he's going to be able to run in, position his Warden in whatever way allows him to summon that Book of the Dead, or he's going to sell the Book of the Dead. He's going to sell, I guess it's not a bad idea, all things considered, because there may be destroyers on the map. And that's actually a really good idea that I was not thinking about. But of course, yeah, Sweet. That's a good point. All right, Soccer, you're showing why you're the professional here. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, destroyers would actually be very happy with the Book of the Dead, because you summon a bunch of stuff in one little area, and the destroyer just eats it all up in one swoop or two swoops or whatever. And then they're like, ooh, we got lots of mana, you know. And then you're like, oh god, why did I do that? And it's not a good idea for the elf player. So yeah, that's a good idea. But anyway, enough of that. We will see, of course, one of these goals. It's probably gonna die. Indeed, it does. Oh, don't sneeze! Oh, so we're about to have a fight going where. Okay, here we go. There was, of course, a Wand of Illusion being cast on that Death Knight. Going to have that immediately abolished. One of those Dryads taking a lot of focus. It's going to get staffed out. It's going to live just fine. Here we do see, of course, Dryads. One Dryad did go down right there as well. A little bit of damage maybe being done to these Fiends, as you can see, of course, and these Bears are doing a lot of damage to these Fiends, actually. Level 2 now being picked up by the Lich, and as we can see, that final Dryad, it's going to get hunted down. So these ghouls essentially just hunting those Dryads, and now we'll see that second Destroyer being picked up. At this point, it looks pretty good for Sweet in this fight. As you can see, he's going to be able to go ahead and take out these Bears. The only problem is that is a level 4 Warden and a level 3 Naga. We'll see those ghouls now being forced out of the fight by AoE damage. It's simply too much, and we might even see the Naga go down. No, he's going to get a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability passed to him from the Death Knight. We'll be able to use that, and oh, the Warden actually goes down at level 4 to a lot of surprise nukes, and indeed, that's going to definitely hurt Soccer. He wasn't really doing that bad in that fight. All things considered, he started to, you know, maybe back off a little bit. I mean, but then to die like that, he's gonna actually go ahead and have to Tavern Revive the Warden. Don't see any expansion going up just yet for Soccer, but he might just be keen to do that. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, I think had he won that fight, we probably would have seen him already, you know, using this to put it up, but he didn't win that fight. He actually lost the fight and had to Tavern back a Warden, so that's not good. Of course, you can see now the food count for Soccer is sitting at 37 out of 50 food and 44 out of 60 for Sweet. If we look over here, we can see Sweet is really in this sort of matchup saying, I need hero levels. That's really what Sweet needs. He's like, I need to have higher level heroes, because honestly, the Warden's a pretty squishy hero. It's not, you know, it's not a lot of, it can't survive a lot of nuke, as we saw. Just like one round of those nukes, just like half of his life gone, and he died. That was unfortunate for him. Of course, in Naga the same way, maybe even more so. As you can see, he's only got 575 life, and this Warden, of course, has 750. So it's a little bit better maybe for the Warden, but you know, The point is nukes are going to hurt you. Of course, you can see that Naga is level 3. He only has a Staff of Preservation. Of course, the Warden sitting there with a Scroll of Town Portal, as well as an Orb of Venom, and a Robe of the Magi +6, Claws of Attack +9, and Boots of Speed. If we look at the upgrades, none currently exists on those Dryads other than Abolish Magic. And of course, these Druids of the Claw, they do happen to have their Master Form training. Over here, we can look at the units for Sweet, and we can see that these are, I'm pretty sure, Frenzy Ghouls, and yes, they are. Of course they are. That makes perfect sense. It would be kind of silly otherwise. And you can see no upgrades on, other than that, on any of the units besides the Destroyer form for the statues. Now we can look at level 3 on the Death Knight. He does have a Sobi Mask, a Circle of Nobility, as well as 1 charge left of Wand of Illusion. Actually, really 2 really good items. And it looks like he's sitting here maybe waiting to pick up some items. I'm not sure what he's doing there. Of course, it looks like he's got an Abomination out. He's got a lot of gold. He's banking up at 50 food right now, and he could have bought some items, but it looks like he's not going to do that. Maybe he's going to come over here and maybe pick up a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. That'd be a great idea because 2 reasons. 1, you can kind of use it versus a Warden, versus that Warden Focus Fire nuke yourself, but he can also use it versus your nuke, so it's kind of good to have that. Of course, you can see that Warden just coming down here a little bit, looking into the base, poking a little bit, not really going to do too much. And if we look over here, we can see there is the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability has been picked up by the Death Knight, of course, who is level 3. You can see level 3 now has been picked up also by the Lich. I'm not sure quite, he's been there for a little while. You can see he's got Boots of Speed, Orb of Corruption, Claws of Attack +6, and we can see Soccer actually throwing down a Tree of Life right here at this expansion location, and as he's like, I'm ready to defend it. And we can see Boots of Speed and Potion of Healing on Sweets and the level 3 Naga. So they're really good choices all around. Of course, we can see some upgrades coming in right now for these units for Soccer. That's the very first attack upgrade for them. And here is Sweet picking up another Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, as well as a Scroll of Town Portal. As you can see, Scroll of Town Portal, or the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability being put onto the Naga. I think a good choice in this situation with these items, it would be to have the Scroll, probably the Potion, no, yeah, I'd probably put the Scroll of Town Portal on my Lich in this case, actually, because you have that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability on your Death Knight. But hey, that's all fine too. You know, always pass those things around. And here you can see Sweet coming in here and just to do some damage. We will see him at level 4. Of course, there's an Ancient of Wind up. That's pretty much so you can make Soccer can make some hippogriffs. If he could get to his ideal arm, we can see he's sitting at 50 food. He's going to TP into this fight, and we can look. I don't want to do that, but yeah, we can look and see 49 out of 60 food for Sweet as Sweet TP's away, saying I don't really want to fight this. We're pretty much even food. He will lose a Fiend as well as a TP, but both players lost a TP, so not a huge deal. And of course, I'm sure that Sweet would have been super happy if there weren't any Dryads in that situation. He could have came down here and canceled this Tree of Life and then TP'd, but didn't work out that way. Of course, we can actually see Soccer also having vision of this gold mine, very key because there's only 2 expansion slots possible on this map, kind of like Echo Isles in that regard. And so if you know that you're the only one with an expansion, that means a couple of things. 1, it means you're probably about to have a big push come your way. As you can see, Sweet he's actually gone ahead and broken Upkeep, which is a bit of an odd choice. I'm not sure why he would do that. All things considered, unless he's intending to push right now, and that must be why, because he's like, I'm just going to go up to 60 food. He's like, I don't really have time to bank. If I bank to 70 food, and honestly, if you bank to 70 food at this point, you probably would be overwhelmed by the Night Elf army. Of course, he could still beat it, but, you know, it's with an expansion kicked in, it's going to be really difficult, because it's going to take a little while to bank up to 70 food when he had to go ahead and regroup up his items, regroup up his units, get back to 50 food and such like that, and he still didn't have a Ziggurat to go from 60 to 70. So he's going to say, just went ahead and say, yep, I'm going to break. He's at 57, as you can see, and maybe just waiting for that final Fiend to come into this fight. He does want to go ahead and do that. Of course, you can see Soccer is sitting at 63 food, and Soccer is just fine and dandy with sitting here and delaying this. And of course, you can see that is going to be 1 attack upgrade. It's going to be useful on both the Dryad, the Druid of the Claw, and the Hippogriff. That's not a both kind of sentence, but whatever. And of course, now pretty much we do have 2 of these Druids of the Claw sitting in bear form, or not, well, yeah, in bear form, as well as in Druid form, and you know, those are for rejuvenations. We're gonna see a lot of, immediately a ton of damage being put onto that Warden, getting staffed out of 49 HP. Of course, he did have a rejuvenation placed on him, so he's gonna come right back down here. Maybe use a Moonwell, maybe not, but you know, Sweet's gonna say this is my chance to attack. That Warden's not in the fight now, and he has gone ahead and pushed out. We can see these Hippogriffs being very useful versus those destroyers, and we will see one of those destroyers, it does go down. Now the Death Knight going to take a little bit of damage, but we're going to see immediately a ton of damage being done to the Warden. Of course, he's going to go ahead and be able to pop his Potion of Lesser Invulnerability at 18 HP, and he will get a little bit of healing, but he's going to be in a bit of trouble, and down he actually goes to that Death Knight. He's playing very, very aggressive right there, and over here we'll see some of these Dryads going down. This is a fight where Sweet's actually behind by quite a bit of food, and he's actually going to maybe be able to win this fight. As you can see, he was able to remove that warden from the case, and as you can see, he's managed. He's just like everything's kind of split up, and you know, Sweet's managed to get the better splits there. As you can see, of course, we can see that this Expo still hasn't been able to kick in at all for Soccer, so a little bit unfortunate. You know, Soccer was saying if I get a big enough army to defend it, then I should be able to, you know, be fine. And of course, now we can see him just reviving from the tavern his warden right here. Of course, in this situation, level 5 warden, it's a great hero level, but he is versus a level 4 Death Knight, who's very close to level 5, level 3 Lich, and a level 4 Nagas. That is a lot of level 2 nukes right there coming your way, 3 in fact. So it's a lot of damage. He really could use an anti-magic shell potion. Of course, he does have to deal with the fact there are going to be destroyers there. And these statues, it's kind of clever by Sweet that he's kept these statues in statue form, because he's like, I don't think I can keep them alive if they're in destroyer form versus hippogriffs. They do a lot of damage, and they have roar. Of course, you can dispel the roar, you know, but, you know, still. So they have, yeah, you know, it depends on what you're dispelling. You might, but anyway, we're gonna see the Naga going down behind the gold mine, and indeed, it looks like the warden might go down as well. So Soccer, while he did have a bit of an advantage there, he was maybe, you know, 5, 6, 7 food up, something like that. I'm not quite sure how much food up. Maybe even all the way up to 10. I don't think quite that much though. He's gonna actually lose to hero nukes. A little bit unfortunate for Soccer, but that was Sweet versus Soccer. I just said, you know, I was like, I kind of want to see some Sweet games. I thought I would be going back, you know, to 1.18 or something like that. No, 1.25, and I was like, oh, I forgot Sweet actually played a bit during that, just, you know, back in 2011. So personally, I'm super happy to see the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a crowned replay. They're not always going to be super amazing, you know, it's just a little game. It's a quick little game. Unfortunately, I'm swamped with schoolwork, so I can't really do a normal best of 3 series, so I was like, I'll just do a quick little 20-minute game or something like that. Sweet. And well, mainly because I wasn't thinking that. I saw the game and I was like, oh, well, I can do that. I wasn't actually gonna do anything, so I was like, you know, because I was like, I'm just gonna watch a quick replay on like 4x, but you know, maybe looking for like an hour-long game. This was a 20-minute game. Anyway, I'm totally not even saying anything that's relevant to anything, so I'm gonna stop talking about that now. But so that's the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I will try to see you next time. That's not how I say it. No, I say I will see you next time, because gosh darn it, I will.